Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for this edition of YBMcast, baseball talk powered by Game 7 Baseball, game7baseball.com. Game 7, fall ball's over, but don't worry. Baseball will be coming back around. We got tournaments starting to come up on the site. They're starting to post. They always do this about this time, start posting certain things early as they start getting around. So go check it out. There's going to be discounts coming up. We got the winter workout tour coming up. We're going to be rolling around with Game 7. We're going to be heading to Nashville, I think, this year as well with the winter workout tour. We're going to be heading to Nashville. We're going to be heading over to Kansas City. And so make sure you continue to check out Game 7 Baseball at game7baseball.com. And one of our hopes here is we've got on the Prime Sports Midwest call-in link is the Director of Baseball Operations at Mac-N-Seitz in Kansas City, Nik Crouch. Thanks for joining us, man.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the time and the willingness to get on the phone with us and talk about Mac-N-Seitz and just me in general and what we have to offer. But this is my first podcast, so it's an honor. It's truly an honor. So, yeah.
Huzzah.
A lot of people.
There's more than that. This is the first time we've had we've done a sit down like this with a program in Kansas City.
Well, I guess the honor goes both ways, sir. So I'm excited. I really am. It's like studying for a math test for me in college. It takes me about 3 weeks to prep for 1 hour. So hopefully all the answers are answered appropriately, and we have fun with this, and hopefully we share some knowledge and just build a tremendous relationship with each other.
Absolutely. That's always the goal. Because you know as well as I do, Nick, youth baseball, high school baseball, summer baseball, there's so much there. It's growing so big. It's gotten big, the clubs and the scenes. And how do we inform parents? How do you make good decisions? How do you help the athlete continue to develop? What's appropriate for an 8-year-old as opposed to a 14-year-old? And I mean, these are things that as we walk through things, there's always people coming into it, and so I think the conversation is always relevant. Agreed?
Mm-hmm. Agreed. I think it's a continuous conversation. I have this conversation at 8 o'clock this morning. I'll have it at 7 p.m. tonight. I'll have it at noon tomorrow. It's a continuous, nonstop conversation between my wife, between my staff, between our instructors, between our coaches. It's something that we always try to find the right recipe. And, the great thing is the personalities of every individual is different. So we have to make sure that we can match the personalities, match the talents, match the physicality when it comes to things, and we try to do that as best we possibly can. But you're right, it's an ongoing discussion, and there's so many great minds in the nation that have so many great ideas and great philosophies and theories that, you try to pick one out, for each individual, and you try to attack that situation. But it's an ongoing conversation. So I just tried to mold everything the best we possibly can, just for the youth in general.
Yeah, if it was an exact science, we might be able to figure it out, right?
I wouldn't be here right now, sir. I'd be on my yacht with a multi-billion-dollar salary, going around signing books and just doing everything. It's just, I tell that to parents. If I had that answer, I wouldn't be here. I'd be waving people from my yacht, and I'd be a multi-billionaire. And the good thing is, I'm not that smart enough. So I am blessed to still be here and be honored to be on your podcast. But I don't. You try so many things, and you do so many things, and you present so many things to parents and players. We had on-field practice last night up a great complex up in Creekside, just utilizing 5 fields from 14 to 18U, and just, how we're going to continue to get these guys better. It's just, hopefully our theory does do well, and we have a great philosophy and a great development process, and I'm excited to talk to you about. But yeah, it truly is an ongoing conversation, sir. I don't know if will ever have the corrective right answer, but we definitely do try.
So this area back here is basically production. They do a lot of the artwork back here. They do the production. So any of that stuff that comes in off of, we'll say, our fanware stores, stuff that comes in off the team stores, a lot of the coaches wear, a lot of the last minute, hey, we got to have it in the next 10 minutes stuff. That's all comes back here. This area is where all the day-to-day stuff that comes in really goes through. The retail store is its own little entity. This is where the real work is done.
Mac-N-Seitz been around a little while. We all understand that, and most people know of the program, but I don't know how many people actually know about the program. We know of it, but we don't know about it. You know, some history and So why don't you fill us in with a little background, if you would?
Yeah, absolutely. I've actually only been here. I'm going on my 5th year here at Mac-N-Seitz. My family and I, my wife and my 2 kids moved up here in 2019 of July. And I think, if I remember correctly, we have a calendar of a monthly calendar in our office area, and I think the next Thursday is going to be the 27th birthday of Mac-N-Seitz, if I remember that correctly. We just had our 25th anniversary obviously it makes sense, 2 years ago, and Kevin Seitzer and Mike McFarland, 2 gentlemen that I truly respect. I grew up watching those two. So just to be around those presents, they were the Indians and the Oakland Athletics and, just the Red Sox and just all those programs back, and just hearing the history of it. From an individual standpoint myself, that's been in baseball since the day I was born. The enrichment that has here, the knowledge that we have here, just the history of being here at Martin City, the surrounding support that we have just because of Mr. McFarland and Kevin Seitzer, who just got finished up with his season with the Braves. And Mac is here. He is here Monday through Thursday, so love listening to him and telling his stories. Obviously we're doing something tremendous and doing something great. We've been here for almost 27 years now with the birthday party being celebrated hopefully next week. So, we were just, I think, when I took over and I came up here in that July and able to take over the high school program that October of that year, it was, we needed some new ideas, and we needed some new opinions, and we needed some new voices, and new philosophies when it comes to this. And, credit to the ownership, Mr. Daniel Lake, who's the owner about 5 or 6 years now. Credit to the guys of, PSP, who's our strength conditioning partnership. Credit to my staff, our hitting coordinators, our pitching coordinators, and what we've done over the past 5 years to try to build what it used to be. That's just a facility that's going to be facilitated by baseball guys. I don't try to reinvent the wheel. It's just the history of itself speaks for itself, and just when I'm a guy coming from San Diego and a guy that came from South Texas, and I knew who Mac-N-Seitz was before I even it's just like, oh yeah, I know Mac-N-Seitz. They travel to Texas and we go to East and West Coast, and you just know the history of Mac-N-Seitz because of how great Kevin Seitzer and how great Mike McFarland has done in the past, and just their name itself and the royalty that they have. So it's it has a lot of history. These walls have seen a lot of tremendously good, talented baseball players. They've seen professional baseball players. They've seen great coaches. So the history of itself, when you walk in, you get that feeling that this is a baseball facility, and I'm blessed to be here for sure for the last 5 years, and going to continue to try to hold those standards of what Mr. McFarland and Mr. Seitzer did the first 20 something years before Mr. Daniel Lake, the new owner, bought him out. And, so I'm just here to make the kids and the best experience, and try to, the end game of everything else. What I try to do is to make a great experience.
I think that's the challenge, when you start looking at legacy and things of that nature. And I'm sure those guys, they've done it a lot of years. And, when you sell that and your name's behind it and whatnot, and I'm sure they're still looking at working to keep those traditions and the history of it within that context. But there's always that challenge to keep that momentum, to keep the understanding of what we're about intact, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's a daily challenge. I mean, it really is. And Mr. McFarland, again, he's here Monday through Thursday pretty heavily. He'll come into my office and he'll challenge me, and he'll understand that this is what he built. And I have I'll accept that challenge, and I will. I mean, he's done a tremendous job, like I said, with Seitz, just like you said, the legacy. People know who Mac-N-Seitz is. People know who Seitz or McFarland is because the history that they had with the Kansas City Royals and just who they are as people. So I've always taken a deeper pedigree. I've always taken a deeper thought process, and okay, this is who I am. I have to walk around the city of Overland Park or Kansas City and wearing the Mac-N-Seitz name, and I make sure that players understand that. That was the first thing I said. It's like we're going to wear the hat forward. When we walk into the complex, we're going to be dressed. We're not going to be sloppy. We're not going to be, those individuals because it's greater than my name. It's M&S. It's Mac-N-Seitz for a reason. So yeah, it's a challenge. I mean, it really is. And luckily, I have an amazing group of core kids that understand that challenge, and they're going to represent Mac-N-Seitz the corrective way.
I had to turn my hat around when you said that, bro. Made me think about it. I was like, there you go.
Yeah. It's again a kid came from SoCal. My family is from the Midwest, and I just kind of always grew up that way. And playing professional baseball for the short amount of years that I did, if your hats were backwards, you're fined. Back then, $5, that's a big fine back when I played. So I've always had the mindset that we're going to wear our hat forward. We're going to tuck in our shirts. We couldn't walk into the clubhouse without a collared t-shirt. We had to wear a collared shirt. So, I mean, it's just a different representation how, it was when I played baseball and collegiately. I mean, the legendary Jack Hodges, the saddleback, we had to polish our cleats. We literally had to polish our cleats. So I've always had that worker mentality, wear your hard hat every single day and wear your, represent the logo that's across your chest and across your hat. So yeah, got to wear the hat forward. So there's a kid to the day tonight, they come in for programs, the hat's got to be forward. Especially if it is a Mac-N-Seitz hat. Yes, sir.
I love it. Let's get into a little bit. We talked about, you brought up philosophy, new ideas, some of the things that you're bringing to the table in the last 5 years. When you came into it, it needed an upgrade or a change in thought and whatnot. When you're talking about philosophy as far as baseball, you're dealing with how the game's played, the thought process of how you hit, how you pitch, how you field, those types of things. What goes into that? Because I'm originally from Southern California, grew up a Dodgers fan, watching.
Hey. Okay, you had me there.
There you go.
I'm a huge Padre fan. I'm from San Diego, so I'm a huge Padre fan.
And Tommy Lasorda was always, was pitching and defense and, those great lineups and whatnot. So there was a philosophy behind that, and you understood how they played the game. And, when you've got a program, do you develop that, or do you let the kids develop within what they're going to do in high school and into college and things of that nature?
Again, sir, this is a countless conversations of seconds, minutes, and hours that we discuss it internally, and we discuss outside the walls. It's the organizational side of things, in my personal opinion, it's tough. It's tough because obviously we have 150 athletes in the high school program alone, and we are not going to represent ourselves in a poorly fashion. What I mean by that is that I'm not going to step on their high school coaches' toes. We have a job and a responsibility to try to get these guys developed to the best we possibly can. And we basically have a 6-month window between the day after Labor Day and basically until tryouts, which was around March 1st or February 27th. And we hopefully try to send these guys off to a respectable, situation where they're developed as far as they can go into their tryouts healthy, ready to go. They compete and make the team. And then, obviously their high school coaches have them for 3 months, and then they come back to us for the summer. So we kind of walk the fine line at times. We don't want to overutilize the situation of what we have, and we want to make sure that these kids individually get on the right development program. And, Brayton Cooper, who's my hitting coordinator, and Gonzo Gonzalez, who's my pitching coordinator, do a tremendous job with that. We do have developmental classes for 6 months, and as well as on the field situation stuff on Mondays for 2 months until it gets cold or until we just can't get on the field anymore. So it is a fine line at times. It is a countless conversation at times, and how we're going to get an individual better, how we're going to get this group better, and how we're going to ultimately try to succeed this individual to make sure that they have the most success moving forward. And I tell the guys, I tell my guys, and I tell the players, the end game after 2 to 1 to 4 years is to get you off to collegiately. That is my end game. That is, I have a personal pride with that. That is ultimately my end game, is to get you to college.
Yeah, because in this, Nick, I think it's interesting because as you're talking about getting these kids to college, that's always the goal, the clubs. And we'll come back to the youth side of it because I think that begins those things. But when you're talking about the high school relationship, how well do you work to develop the relationships with high school coaches that you understand and know? I know you can't do that with every coach because you got so many kids, but for the most part, I know in a lot of respects you may be pulling from particular areas, so you may have know the coaches to a degree and not to a degree. So how does that work into and factor into what you guys do?
It's a big factor. I mean, it truly is. I would be comfortable to say that I have a pretty good relationship with a lot of the local high schools around Overland Park. The Missouri that there was a situation 2 years ago that a college coach reached out to me about a player that I reached out to the high school coach via DM on Twitter, and we built that relationship. So there's ways for continuation of relationships that on my end that I have with the high school coaches, and I'll have high school coaches text me, hey, how's so-and-so doing? Hey, how's Tiny Tim doing? If I get a new player that wants to come and try out, I'll text a high school coach, hey, how is he? And they'll be very honest with me, and I'm very, very honest with them. But that's the only thing that I live on is my word. So I have a pretty good relationship with the local high school coaches. And again, I'm still learning the area for only being here for 5 years, and I don't even know which direction north and south is, to be honest with you, still. So, but yeah, the Blue Valley, that's where I live. I live in Overland Park. I actually live in Kansas and work in Missouri. So I'm able to get kind of two best of both worlds with the state of Kansas and the state of Missouri when it comes to youth and when it comes to high school, and being able to build relationships. And I think it's very important. I truly do. And, they'll go through the tryout process, and as far as the high school guys go into their high school region, and we will share. We'll share phone calls. We'll share text messages and how guys are doing, and pretty good job with building that relationship. Continuous. It's a continuous effort on both sides. As I get deeper into living here, year in year out. But I think it's very important. I truly do, because we have them technically for 8, 9, 10 months. So I think it's very, very important for them to understand what we're doing and to be very upfront with them and what we're doing on our end. as far as developing their kids. Their ultimate end game is to win state, and we want to try to help that as best we possibly can.
Right. And you know, we've had that team from Kansas City, or actually Liberty, last 2 years. Class 6 has won back-to-back state titles with Coach Stiegel over there, Liberty North. Excuse me. So, something's going on pretty good over there.
Yeah. They're drinking the right Kool-Aid. There's no doubt about that. He's got the faucet running pretty well over there. So it's been a lot of fun to sit back and watch that. I mean, we kind of know each other through passing, and again, being north and south, I think that's where we're at, about 45 minutes apart or something like that. But we know each other, and I have a tremendous respect for him and his program and his players. We've had some of his players play for us, and they do the things the right way and what they need to do. So it's an incredible program. So back-to-back states, you gotta applaud them for sure.
Absolutely. Let's look at this. Let's go back over to this side because youth baseball. I mean, everybody we know the high school, the prep stuff is a lot of time. It's the big time. It's what people. It's kind of like the Division I of college. Everybody looks at high school baseball. We like to talk about. We see these players. You see the commitments, and it's fun. But on the youth side, I think there's a lot of things that get muddled and lost. There's tournaments being played everywhere, the kids and whatnot. And so when we talk about youth baseball, we always look at it from the standpoint of how are we preparing these kids for high school? Mm-hmm. How do you guys approach that as far as your youth programs?
We just brought on an individual, a very good friend of mine, to kind of oversee the youth development part of it. And he's so far done a tremendous job over the past 2 months. Him and I worked together 13 years ago at University of San Diego, and he's a local high school guy. He does this part-time. And, the communication when it comes to youth is probably one of the most important relationships, in my personal opinion, because of the volunteer coaches. And I always tip my hats to guys who volunteer their time to try to, continue as to coach the youth, rather that be 8U all the way up to 14U. I mean, they're putting in the work. So it's also a trust factor and an open line of communication factor. Understanding that we do have philosophies and we do have the process of development. How are you guys doing it? Here's a format for the youth. So us, we kind of, they do, and I'm in the thick of it too, to be honest with you. I got an 8-year-old son, and he just played his first real baseball tournament this past weekend. And I sat back as a dad, as a director of baseball operations, and I sat back 20 to 30 feet. It's kind of an ongoing joke in the stands that I just stand there and watch. But, it's an ongoing joke, and it's people look at me like, oh, here comes Nick in the stands. He's not going to be here much longer. So, it was an eye-opening experience for me, as a dad, to be involved in that light. And it's just, again, it comes down to what's the right way to win, what's the right way to lose, and how we're going to continue to develop these kids every single year. And I have a very good relationship with my son's head coach. And I told him, I said, right now, your main goal is to make sure that they love it enough to come back again next year and play. I mean, whatever that means to him as a head coach. And I try to stay out of it as best I can. I just want to be a dad that eats his seeds and eats his hot dogs. I just make sure that the kids love it continuously, that they want to play each and every year. And he will ask me, he's like, well, when do we start worrying about winning or losing? And I was like, right now, you worry about how to teach them how to be competitive and teach them how to lose properly. To me, that's bigger than winning a trophy right now at 8U, 9U, or whatever that discussion may be. To me, it's just appropriately teach them how to be competitive and how to win, develop them, teach them how to lose properly. That's to me, that's a really good understanding of the game. If you can kind of hit those key points, and to make sure that they love it enough to come back and play for us, rec, whatever it may be, in an organization, that they love it enough that they had fun enough that they want to come back and play each and every year, and let them to kind of decide what they want to do in the direction as they get older.
I love the context of competitiveness, because an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, 10, even to 11, the development process and an attitude, an understanding of what it takes to compete is how you develop an understanding of what it means, what winning is. That's what I believe that very much. Sir. Because, I mean, I always look at these things because this is always the things that strike me. You watch, we're in the middle of the baseball playoffs, and I love the fact that the Rangers just beat the Astros. That is, if nothing else happens in the playoffs, that'll be fine for me. But you look at the playoffs as it is. Here are two teams in the National League Championship Series who were the wild cards, the number 6 seed, and I think the Phillies were 5, weren't they, or 4?
I believe so. They were one of 5.
Because I think they were the 5 seed. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
So you look at this. Here's the two teams at the and getting hot. You can't explain that. It is what it is. It just happens. These guys are competing at a high level. They outplayed their counterparts with the 2 best records in the National League, and like it or dislike it, that's just baseball. And I think this game really shows you that. And baseball is that way because you've got teams that won 60-some games. They don't have talent? Sure, they've got talent. They absolutely have talent. These are the best players in the world as far as, just in that respect. How do you understand what winning is? And winning is not a result. It's an attitude. It's an understanding of what you have to do to compete at a high level to create opportunities. And I think that is the key to youth sports personally. I don't, I believe in winning. I think you do too. I think there isn't a coach out there that doesn't believe in winning. But I don't think there's a lot of coaches know how to bring that and develop that within the player.
There's some truth to that. There is. I mean, I've seen it. And again, I have 12 high school teams, and obviously we have a very good group of youth teams and coaches. And I tip my hat off again to the volunteer, but, just the guys and these guys that we have as a youth organization component, as far as Tyler Kincaid leading the youth that's feeding into the high school. And, these guys want to win. And,
sure.
And they want to win. And I think that is a great mindset and philosophy to have. Obviously, we play the game to win. That we play the game to develop, to play the game to have fun. But, hey, how'd you guys do this weekend? That's the first thing out of my mouth. How'd you guys do? We went 4-2. We went 2-2. We did. I was like, how'd you do? How did you do personally? How did you do as an individual? How did you do? What was your mindset? That's something again that I'm trying to teach my own son. He's 8, but he's the kid that after every game, hey, what about a Pokemon card? Hey, let's go get some ice cream. And I'm like, dude, go keep being a kid, man. Keep being a kid. Let the game continue to develop you, and let the game to continue to make you who you are. I mean, I kid you not. Yeah, I mean, I'm inside of me. I'm like, hey, remember the bottom of the third when you dropped that ball? Why did you? It's like him. It's like, hey, let's go get some Pokemon cards. Oh boy. Okay, yeah, let's do it.
I want
man.
the suicide snow cone, Dad. Let's go.
No doubt. I want the extra cream on top. I want tiger's blood. It's just, and I'm okay with it. I really am.
Oh, I love it.
But but there was some this past weekend, and it was the first time I saw my son, and I will go back to, but it just kind of how I represent myself and how we represent Mac-N-Seitz and how we represent our philosophies and program is, he was frustrated, because I wanted to play this position, but I only played this position. Inside as a dad, you're like, let's go talk to the coach. I mean, I don't want to be that guy, but as a dad, I told my son, you know what? If that's the case and that's the truth, then let's continue to work. Mm-hmm. Let's continue to develop you in other positions. Let's continue to understand that you have a bigger picture ahead of you in life. Let's continue to understand that if you put in the work, you might not get 100% of what you want, but you're going to be more satisfied. Mm-hmm. You're going to understand that you played you played 3 innings max, maybe 4 innings, but you played those 3 or 4 innings hard. If you continue, like the youth, you put into work. To me, that's how I was as a player. I never won trophies. I never won conference player of the year. I never won any of that, but I can go back and be satisfied with the work because I put it in there, 6 to 8 hours a day or whatever it may be. And to me, I started to create a winning philosophy personally.
Yeah. Because
I knew what it take, and I wasn't on the winningest teams in life, but I went out there and competed for myself, but ultimately also as for my team. And I think if we can kind of understand that, we got a right formula to really kind of teach the winning philosophy, even if you don't win. There's a game within a game. That's what we continuously battle. You might lose 5-3, you might lose, whatever it may be, but did you win the battle within the game? Were you focused for 3 or 4 to 6 innings? Were you understanding of the game and, where to be and where to line up? And I think, if you understand that as years go on, you're going to be more successful when you get to high school. And then the end game is to get you in college and hopefully the small sample size and get you to play professionally. So, I'm different in how I outlook this whole thing. I'm different in my own personal ways. I mean, ask my wife. But it's just the outlook and how we present ourselves and what we're ultimately trying to do with the youth and with our high school. It's just try to truly teach them about the game, the history of the game, and how it's played. And it's representation of how we want to do things correctly here at Mac-N-Seitz.
How many teams do you guys carry in youth? I mean, I'm sure it fluctuates every year, but do you
it
guys
fluctuates?
Yeah, do you guys keep a team at every age level?
Yeah, we have. I'm probably going to butcher this, but the youngest we have is obviously my son's team, and we have another 9U team. So we got 2 9U, and we probably try to carry 3 at each level. I think right now we got 5 14U teams. So we try to carry more teams as the years go on so they can funnel into the high school program. So I think altogether, I could be off by a couple here and there, but we probably have 30-something teams altogether, if not 33, 34. That's with a couple softball teams and the 12 high school teams, and then, you fill out the rest with the youth. Because we try to funnel as much as we possibly can and keep everybody as possibly can going into the high school program. So you're probably looking at 3 teams per age group. We got 2 at 9U, and that goes up to 5 right now at 14U. But you're right, it fluctuates every year. Yeah. 2 years ago we had 7 14U teams. Last year we had 3, and now we got 5. So it fluctuates, but we try to, the philosophy, we try to carry, 3 per age group. And then hopefully it grows with the continuation of what we're trying to do on the field and off the field as well. So
now you guys, I know you get, Kansas City has some good tournaments, and then of course, Creekside. It's a nice facility. I'm sure, in tournaments, and we have one of our contributors, Kevin Mulder from PBR, Prep Baseball Report.
Oh, great guy. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we've been talking about that and what they're doing up there and all that. So with that being said, with youth baseball, when you talk about tournament baseball in the summer, what do you talk about when you're saying, okay, you got a 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old team? How far are you guys traveling? What's the thought process with that? Do you need to travel very much to compete?
I personally think it's a team thing. I mean, individual is a team thing. I mean, we have teams that go down to Branson. They have a couple great tournaments down there and utilize that complex and that facility. And you try to make it fun because of the attractions that Branson have.
Oh, yeah.
We got guys that go to Omaha in June because of the College World Series, and that's kind of a personal bucket list of mine too. And then we got an 8U team like ourselves that the head coach has asked me my opinion. And I was like, go do 1 or 2 tournaments this spring, have the kids experience what it's like to stay in a hotel room and wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and have to eat an ice cream until, 11 o'clock at night. Hopefully not, but you never know, probably. So to me, you try to stay in the Midwest. And there's so many great complexes that I've learned over the past couple of years. Obviously Grand Park in Indianapolis is another PBR kind of a sanctioned thing. And you got your St. Louis complexes with phenomenal baseball, and the Branson and then Omaha. So, that's one thing that, I'm still trying to even wrap my own personal head. I'm like, I'm in the center of the United States, living in SoCal to South Texas. It's like, I'm literally in the center of the United States, and just the amount of baseball and how competitive, 2 to 3 to 4 hours is. And even I have to tell myself that as a high school, when I make the schedule for high school guys, like, we can really stay in this central region and get competitive baseball. So, I think it's a team base, case by case kind of thing. And some guys like to expand just to go experience. And I'm all for it just because of the camaraderie that you have within the parents and within your players. They love it. They love bringing home back the pins and the hats and the jackets and the T-shirts that we were at this so-and-so tournament. We were at this so-and-so tournament. And so I think it's a great experience. It's a, experience that, when you're 40 like me, you can yeah, cool. It was pretty cool when I played that back when I was 12 or 9. And just the camaraderie and just building the relationships and friendships, I think is very important as well. So I don't have a no zone kind of thing.
Sure.
Like, hey, nope, you can't go here, you can't go there, but just go experience it. Just go be a kid. But if it's every weekend, it's like, I have an issue. But if it's a couple here and there throughout the spring, a couple here and there throughout the summer, it's like, go do it. Go be a team. Go build that relationship and go have fun.
I agree with you in that respect, because I think that's the balance of it, because like you said, you got some of these youth teams, they're traveling forever, you're just like, and I think mom and dad end up going, I just want to go to the lake, man.
No, I even want to say, hey, I just want to go to the lake. Personally, as a dad and as a director of operations, hey, just go to the lake today. There's no doubt. I mean, you really, and there is a balance. There really is, and I keep myself up at night on that. What is the balance? What is the corrective way? What is, they still have to be a kid.
Yes,
they still have to go scrape their knee, and they still have to go scrape up their knees and in the streets. They still have to understand how to get a girlfriend. They still have to, there's so many things that they still have to understand at a young age. Like, go experience it, and it's okay to not play a weekend and go be a family and go get some ice cream and go watch a movie in the movie theaters. Just there is a balance, and we have to make sure, and even myself have to make sure that there's a line that we don't want to cross, that all of a sudden are we building this individual, my son, whatever it may be, are we going to build them into a burnout? Because that's what we ultimately don't want to have. We want to be able to have the balance of, you are still a kid. It's okay. Go play in the street. It's okay to be a kid. And even my son, I relate a lot of things. I say, you know what, today go be a kid, man. Go go knock on your next door neighbor, go play in the street, go play in the backyard, go be a kid today. You don't need to work today. You don't need to hit off the tee for 20 minutes. It's okay. It's hard, it is, but I have to remind myself that as well.
I think, and we've all been, I've been guilty of that with my own kid, and that's the thought process. And it's one of the things that I've always, wanted to discuss and see where other people are with these things and bring this into, because you see the pendulum swing so many ways. And I love what you said about the competitiveness, because you're right. You can find and compete locally in tournaments. There's so many good programs in your area, in St. Louis, down in Branson. You got teams coming up from Arkansas. You got teams coming over from Oklahoma. You get such a mishmash, and just up in your area, we get teams from Illinois coming over. You get teams from Kansas and Missouri mixing there. So
Nebraska,
Iowa. I think that's the beauty of these things, and I think we try to go search for something that already exists. And as far as the competitiveness is concerned, when I love what you said, and I agree, the travel, that's just for the fun. That's the camaraderie, building relationships, putting those kids in those places to understand what it is to bond as a team, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to have that experience. I mean, it's just, you start to understand your limitations and what you cannot do as an individual, as a high school kid. Especially in high school. I mean, you can't stay up until 1 a.m. and expect to play a good baseball at 8 a.m. I mean, you just can't. But, you got to be able to eat properly. But when it comes to youth, I mean, it's fun. For them, it's like, oh my gosh, I get to stay in a hotel room. I get to play baseball the next day. I don't have to worry about cleaning up dog poop in the backyard. I don't have to worry about taking out the trash. I'm all in. Let's do this. So it's the camaraderie and the experience that I'm all for. But there is the balance. There is understanding. And obviously I don't want to upset any moms, and the kids also have to do their schoolwork and understand the studies and everything else, and making sure that their homework's done and preparation for tests. But there's a lot of things that now these days that there's being offered to kids. That in baseball itself, the social media aspect of it, the chasing this, that we sometimes just forget that just go be a kid, go experience some things, go love it, go be a multi-sport athlete. We can balance it. We can understand it. We can, there's nothing we can do about it. And I'm all for the multi and triple, sport athletes. I really am. So it's a balance. It really is a balance, sir. And you, as an individual, as a dad, as a director, just as you, sir, and what you do and what you hear, I mean, we got to be able to make sure that we have that balance.
And without moms, we're not traveling anyway, because we wouldn't be. I wasn't the one coordinating all that anyway.
No shot. There's no shot. I mean, I gotta. Oh man, where do we leave here? Where do we go? That we do what? Who's doing the laundry? It's just. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. You got to have that designated mom that does the laundry one night. There's a lot of things that go into it. But yeah, you're right. Travel, when it comes to moms, they're the best.
They are. They take care of it, man.
They are.
Backbone of the operation.
No and I'm 6'5", 300 pounds, and there's some moms that I'm like, you got it. Whatever you need and I want, just let me know. I ain't gonna be. Oh man, there's moms. But they're good. They're good people. Good people indeed. But there's no doubt about it. But they do a good job.
So
yes, sir.
Your last thing, we'll get you out of here, Nick.
Yeah.
We're gonna have you back on because I've really enjoyed talking with you.
Yes, sir.
But the state of baseball in Missouri, you're from, you're that Southwest, play year round. You got the Southeast and all that, play year round and all that stuff. Well, Missouri, especially even up in Kansas City, it's not like that in a lot of respects, and The training is different, but with the clubs, I think this is what the clubs have afforded in the Midwest, is to be able to at least train, to develop, to continue that development. Yeah, we don't get to play the games as much, but now but those teams are traveling down in the South and still playing, and those kids that really want to just play year round. What do you see? What do you see the state of baseball in Missouri? Or the Midwest, in general. Just
the Midwest in general. I'll have, I was actually talking to my own guys here about that question. And, Brayton Cooper, again, my hitting coordinator, is from the Missouri side, from Lee Summit. The pitching coordinator, Gonzo Gonzalez, is actually from my neck of the woods in SoCal. And I actually asked that question, to kind of get more perspective on what they see and more perspective on what, they've experienced over the past. And what I've experienced personally, just being here for 4 years, going on my 5th year, is the tremendous amount of talent. There really is, and I can say talent is just to me doesn't mean Division I. Talent means that there's a tremendous amount of it that can experience and go play at that next level. From the Missouri side, and I got best of both worlds because I live in Kansas and it takes me 10 minutes to drive the state line, which we're off of, and I get to experience the Missouri side of it as well. So we have a very good blend on both sides of the state. And I think the state of baseball, we can always get better. And that's just, another continuous conversation. We can always get better at what we do. And that's what's so hard for us daily, is that there's not one thing that we're going to stick to for the next 5 years. But the state of baseball, on both ends of it, I think does a tremendous job of their development as far as the high school coaches go, do a tremendous job as far as the youth goes. And again, I walked around. We were at 3-2 this past week with my son's tournament. So there was teams I never even heard of. There was organizations that I was getting familiar with, and I just kind of walked around. And there was a good mix of Kansas teams, a good mix of Missouri teams, and I was blown away from it wasn't a bad experience to just be a spectator and just walk around. It was a good experience for myself. Just kind of see the talent, just see the parents that are there for the kids, see the coaches that, the blare of the music and hit the fungos. And it's just, to me, the state on both ends, and we're talking about Missouri, I think is in a good place that they can continue to grow in the right direction. And I love what we have here and what we can offer. But the state, I think, is in a good place. There's a lot of tremendously good high schools around here that obviously I'm more involved with. But I think the youth's a good position. We just got to continue to make sure that we do what's right by the individual and do what's right by our philosophy and organization. And I think we'll continue to do that with the corrective people in the right spots for that youth, for that organization, and for the high school. So I like where we're at. We can always get better, what that may be, just continuous conversations and open line of communication, and making sure that we trust the individuals around us and what they're doing, and they trust us.
I love it. Folks, I hope you've enjoyed this conversation as much as I have, getting a chance to get to know Mr. Nik Crouch here. And again, I will say this, we're trying to do this a little more. The opinions given here of the host and its guests is not necessarily the opinions of our sponsors. But with that being said, also, it struck me, I want to say this, and this is my opinion only. This is what there's a lot of music blaring, and I love that. I think it's fun. Have some fun. I like the walk-up songs. I think it's cool. It does. Those, I know there's people that go, "Oh gosh, why we do?" Who cares? Yeah. Have some fun. It's baseball. But I will say this. I will ask the parents. I know you might like the song and don't care in that respect what you're listening to in that way, but for the 8-9 you kids, let's not be playing Highway to Hell and during the pregame warm-ups.
Little AC/DC,
okay, fine. If you like that song, that's cool. But I mean, the 8-9, come on, Let's
Yeah.
just
Well,
a suggestion.
there's-
I mean, I'm sure
there is some.
I mean, you don't have to play Barney, you know. But
No, I think you get more frowned upon if you play that. But no, there is some truth to that. You know, we do got to make sure that. I mean, these kids' minds and how they think and react and how they remember. Gee, me Christmas. It's just it blows my mind. But yeah, I mean, you're playing Highway to Hell or just other songs that I've walked. I mean, there's stuff that I don't even know anymore. But but yeah, there's some truth to that. You still got to make sure that you represent who you are as an organization, as a family, as an individual, and make it fun for those who are playing on field 2 and make it fun on the same field 9.
yeah,
Just trying to make sure that there's a good representation of what we're trying to do for the youth and how we're molding them and how we're directing them and how we're just, raising them.
yeah,
Just a respect level.
I agree. And
I like your opinion.
I'm not trying to offend nobody or say if you like the
No,
song, you listen to it,
course
that's
not.
fine. But let's
Yeah.
I think there's some appropriateness to things that I think we have to just try and be aware of. We're
Awareness
and
is a good thing to have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nick, really enjoyed this, man. It was a lot of fun.
Same to you, sir. I appreciate this being my experience in my first podcast. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
And folks,
All good stuff.
If you're in that area, check it out. Check out Mac-N-Seitz. You can go to their website. We'll have that up in the description down below. You'll have the website just to be able to click on that. So again, thanks for joining us, folks. We do appreciate if you like what we're doing.
You.
Take some time here. Hit the subscribe button if it's the first time here. And then right next to it, hit that dinger, because that's what we do around here. We hit dingers because chicks dig the long ball. That's the way it works. So
That's what Greg Maddox said back in the day. So
that's right. And he was a pitcher. There you go. So
he was.
we appreciate you doing that. It gets you all your notifications for upcoming episodes such as these, and we got some great stuff coming up. And you want to check this out, we got a special one coming up at the end of this week on Saturday. I've got 2 of the top prospects in the country, both committed to Mizzou. That would be Leo Humbert and Titus Sissel coming on the show for a player spotlight to talk about recruiting, to talk about NIL contracts, and to talk about, and bring to bear some of this stuff. I think these are important questions. And Nick, in the future, we're going to get into some of these things, and I'll have you back on and we'll talk about NIL and some of those things and what you guys and seeing this, because I saw there was a bill, and I think I just got a text here with this has been signed in for high school kids. There's a lot of crazy stuff happening around this NIL stuff. So I think it's going to be a big question and something to discuss as we move forward in the future here.
Yeah, would agree. Look forward to that conversation, sir.
Absolutely. So, folks, thanks for tuning in. Everybody have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers, keep throwing strikes. Hitters, you got some advice for the hitters?
Swing hard. Best advice I ever got told when I was playing, it was, you got 3 strikes, might as well swing hard at them.
I like it. That's good advice, right there.
Yeah, might as well swing hard. I mean, granted, I've swung and missed a lot, but hey, when I did connect, they went far.
Oh, man.
So, I don't know if that's the best advice in the world, but hey, it's advice.
It's advice. There you go. That's all we're getting here. We'll see y'all next time.